Orleans terrorist attack, Trump allies are urging you and your colleagues in the Senate to move quickly on confirming the president-elect's national security team. You have signaled some opposition to Kash Patel serving as leader of the FBI, but Republicans say delaying his confirmation will hurt operational security. How do you respond to that?
We have a very functional FBI right now that has investigated New Orleans, investigated Las Vegas, came out, told the public exactly what was going on. So I don't believe that to be the case. I believe our job, we just took an oath. I just took an oath, Jake, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And we have a duty to advise and consent. A number of our Republican colleagues in the Senate agree. That's why we must have an FBI check on Kash Patel and these other nominees for these very serious security positions. We must know what their background is. We must see their financial disclosure forms. The president-elect has put in a number of billionaires that could have all kinds of conflicts into these jobs. We must be able to see that, but at the same time, as we stand our ground and follow the oath of the Constitution, we also find common ground where we can on things like housing. They say they want to do something about childcare. Let's go for it. But if their plan is to simply move ahead and give tax cuts to a bunch of billionaires, as we just heard rumors that's what was coming out of the Republican caucus, that they want to immediately move to that, we're going to stand our ground and hold them accountable for what they said, that they wanted to help average people in our country.
Well, let me ask you a question about that, because I don't know how much ability you will have to stand any ground if Republicans go through with the plan that President-elect Trump and Speaker Johnson are talking about, which is to one huge reconciliation package with not only the tax cuts you mentioned, but also changes in energy law, also changes in laws when it comes to the border and immigration. They want to do that in reconciliation, and to translate that for normal people out there, that means it would only need a simple majority vote in the Senate, 51 votes, as opposed to the 60-vote threshold, which usually requires at least a modicum of bipartisan work to even proceed to debate. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are we have a number of Republicans in the Senate that do care about the debt, that don't want to add to the debt, that actually take that job seriously. When you look at some of these tax cuts for the wealthiest and the multi-millions, trillions of dollars they could add to the debt, I'm not talking about people making under $400,000. I'm talking about the billionaires. And if that's what they're going to do, they're going to add greatly to whatever they end up doing on spending. You're still going to have a problem with the debt. And so what I see this as being for my Senate colleagues is a moment. This is a moment where they're going to have to decide, are you going to just add to the debt and do everything Donald Trump tells you to do, or are you going to stand up on some of these things and say, wait a minute, we're worried about the debt? Our job as Democrats is to make that case, to pick our battles. We're not going to pick every single battle. There'll be some things that are red lines, but we're in this. We're in this in a big way, and there's ways to make your case without being able to be the deciding vote. We realize that we're up against a lot with the votes, but we have a strong case to make about the debt, about their claims that they were going to stand up for average people, and tax cuts for billionaires, and going after a newspaper for a poll that they don't like, that the president didn't like, the president-elect in Des Moines. Man, that is not going to help people with their health care costs. That's not going to help them with child care. It's not going to help them with housing. So our job is to hold them accountable and make the case that they've got to follow through on a bunch of the things they said in this election.
Before you go, the nation is saying goodbye to Jimmy Carter, President Jimmy Carter, this week. Your first job in politics was a college intern in the office of Vice President Walter Mondale during the final year of the Carter presidency. What impression did Jimmy Carter leave on you as a college student?
Enormous. I got to know him through Vice President Mondale. And for me, when I think about his life, the resilience he showed in the wake of the defeat in his second run for presidency, what he did, this relentless force of good for our country. I always think about the words in the Carter Center, and they were Mondale's words after they lost. He said, "We told the truth, we obeyed the law, we kept the peace." We told the truth, we obeyed the law, we kept the peace. I can't think of better words of a mission as we go into this next presidency than those words from Walter Mondale about the great Jimmy Carter.
A great son of Minnesota, Walter Mondale, and